Vorticella are a group of single-celled, bell-shaped protists who spend most of their time living tethered to a surface by a stalk. According to reports, there are over 100 identified species of Vorticella, though it takes a trained eye to be able to tell them apart. Vorticella live in fresh or salt water and are typically found attached to aquatic plants, surface scum, submerged objects, or even aquatic animals. Vorticellids are among the most common and widely distributed ciliates. The chances are good that if you go out and take some water samples, you can find Vorticella too. Vorticella feed on debris and small organisms, including other tiny protists and bacteria. They draw food into their mouths via currents created by the beating of their cilia. The beating of the cilia creates a powerful vortex, for which the creatures are named. The food that is drawn into the Vorticella is engulfed into food vacuoles, which you can just see in the light microscope. These vacuoles contain digestive enzymes that will break down the food materials into nutrients. Vorticella were first described by Antony van Leeuwenhoek in 1676 and are among the first organisms he discovered, and are in fact among the first protists ever described. In a letter to the Royal Society, Leeuwenhoek wrote, "These little animals were the most wretched creatures that I have ever seen, for when with the pellet they did but hit on any particles or little filaments, they struck, entangled in them, and then pulled their body out into an oval and did struggle by strongly stretching themselves to get their tail loose. Thereby their whole body then sprang back toward the pellet of the tail, and their tails then coiled up serpent-wise after the fashion of a copper or iron wire, that having been wound close about a round stick and then taken off, kept all its windings." Leeuwenhoek here is likely describing the motion of the Vorticella's stalk. As can be seen here, the stalk contains a spirally arranged contractile thread which can contract with incredible speed and then coil up like a corkscrew. It is believed that this contraction is a defense mechanism to protect Vorticella from predators and environmental hazards such as turbulent water. The contractions may also help Vorticella draw in and capture stubborn food. In addition to being one of the first protists discovered, we now know that Vorticella have been around for a long time. A fossilized Vorticellid has been discovered inside a leech cocoon dating to about 200 million years ago. The fossil was recovered by scientists in Antarctica. It appears that the Vorticella organism must have anchored itself to a freshly deposited leech cocoon and then became trapped inside the cocoon as it solidified and fossilized. You can see that the fossil looks very similar to today's Vorticella and has a recognizable peristome, contractile stalk, and C-shaped macronucleus, just like modern Vorticella species. Vorticella reproduce by both asexual and sexual means. Asexual reproduction takes place when there are favorable living conditions and allows for rapid expansion of the population. In Vorticella, asexual reproduction takes place via binary fission, the splitting of one cell into two genetically identical daughter cells. When this happens, only one cell retains the original stalk. The other daughter cell, called a teletroch, grows a wreath of cilia and swims away until it finds a good place to live. Then it grows a stalk, attaches to a substrate, and loses its temporary cilia. When environmental conditions are not favorable, or when the Vorticella individuals become weakened after several asexual divisions, conjugation, a type of sexual reproduction, takes place to shuffle the DNA and revitalize the Vorticella population. During this process, Vorticella generates free-swimming microgametes by meiosis. These will then find a macrogamete attached to it and transfer genetic materials from the microgamete into the macrogamete. From this, a new Vorticella with diverse DNA will arise. In addition to being both interesting and beautiful, Vorticella have a number of uses that are beneficial for humans. Because they feed on bacteria and small protists, Vorticella help to control the populations of these organisms in their environment. Vorticella also help to control the mosquito population by inhibiting the development of mosquito larvae by a still unknown mechanism. They and other ciliates are also used as indicator species in wastewater treatment plants to evaluate the quality of the wastewater treatment process. One of the most interesting uses for Vorticella being investigated is as tiny actuators in small-scale engineered systems, essentially tiny little biological robot arms. These studies seek to either use Vorticella directly as actuators by controlling their movement or by informing the design of man-made microscale actuators. We hope you have enjoyed learning about Vorticella today, and we invite you to join us next time as we continue to explore life in the seagrass here on the eastern shore of Virginia.